by 5 p.m. today. Usually when there's global warming, it occurs over thousands of years. And why do we in Illinois or the Midwest have to pay such a large premium here, or a large number of taxes? Why do we have to take so much of the burden? I'm against tax and cap and trade.
Well, it's cap and tax, so you're right.
I'll give you another word, actually, but we want to keep our language good here. Yeah. I'm opposed to it.
Okay.
It's going to increase taxes. It's going to increase enormous burdens on farmers, truckers, the whole industry all these industries you mentioned before. They're going to have an enormous burden on them here, and the money doesn't stay in this state. It goes to other states that are supposedly more energy efficient, like California and the South and New England. It doesn't stay in this.
We've been exporter of taxes for cap and trade because of the way we do our. That's correct.
Some of the money doesn't even stay in this country. It goes abroad.
That's correct.
So this is one of the worst things that could happen to the whole Midwest, including especially Illinois. So I'm definitely against this legislation.
I'm intrigued that you took that position. One of the reasons is the next question, and this is something that just came up recently. In August of 2009, Dr. Linzens and Choi from MIT came out with a paper. In essence, the paper doesn't deny global warming, and it doesn't deny CO2 or any of that. But strictly the study showed is that all the computer models generated on global warming are incorrect. And the reason they found that is they took 20 years of data in the atmosphere of how much heat is escaping out into space. Mm-hmm. And all the models suggest that because of the greenhouse effect, the heat would be trapped in the Earth. And what Choi and Linzens have found is that no, proportionate amount of heat escaped as the temperature rose, and as the temperature declined, it held more. So they're not saying, and this paper doesn't say that global warming is not real or not real. What they're saying is that the temperature change of all the models are inaccurate. So I want to get your take on that. And then the other one is this East Anglica thing that really took a lot of people by surprise, especially people that actually were very supportive of global warming, but when they saw these emails where it just gave the feeling that they weren't being proper in terms of their scientific rigor.
Or honest.
Honesty, and that was the concern people had. I want to get your take on that. And I wanted to get your take on what's the U.S. government's role and what is the difference, because many of us people believe that we're environmentalists, but there's a difference between real things, and I want to talk about coal in a minute, real things and things that are kind of debated, and I want to get your opinion on all that.
There's a lot of questions, in my opinion, need to be answered, and this is just a few of them. Okay. I have a website, marshallforussenate.com. There's 6 big questions that I have. We've gone through some of them.
Yep.
How about the Earth's ability to correct itself? Mm-hmm. And you alluded to some of that.
Dr. Linzens and Choi, yeah.
To correct itself. If CO2 goes up, plants would flourish. Right. And that would correct some of the problem right there. And this other thing that you mentioned, the time frame, for example, we mentioned that. Why does the Midwest have to pay so much? How about cooperation from the rest of the world? How about that? I don't think they're going to.
China and India will not.
They will not do it. They're dirt poor, and they just want a motor scooter, for example, and they're not going to cooperate, in my opinion. And why should the burden be on all of us here in the Midwest, especially Illinois? So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and they haven't been answered. In general, why can't the free market, the open market, solve a lot of this problem? The problem of gasoline and all the fuels the price of gasoline and all the fuels are going up right now because of the market system. Mm-hmm. Look at the gas down the street here. It's going up, and that's encouraging or forcing people to conserve right now. Mm-hmm. They're buying smaller cars, they're conserving, wind farms are popping up, mm-hmm. and the cap and trade is not in effect. Mm-hmm. So the open market, the free market system can solve this problem. It is solving it right now. So why can't we just rely on that?
Well, one of the other things I want to talk about too, and that's kind of where the debate is really kind of interesting. A lot of people believe that coal could be utilized in the state of Illinois. I'll give you an example. In the early 1980s, 50,000 Illinoisans worked in the coal industry. Now it's only 10,000. Mm. So we have 40,000 less jobs. Most of that was because of federal mandates. But now technology's caught up with it because our coal has a higher concentration of sulfur. Now sulfur dioxide, everybody knows, is a pollutant. It creates acid rain. It creates congestion. It affects people's asthma. It is a pollutant. But these new technologies are able to clean the sulfur dioxide out of it in the stacks and contain it. One of the thoughts is how can Illinois responsibly mine all this coal they have, use that to create jobs, as well as in a safe manner, use their resources to help us get off more oil dependency?
Well, it's up to the federal government. I mean, the law, if the technology is there, and it is, the federal government should go ahead and like you say, that might create 40,000 new jobs in southern Illinois, and they really need it down there.
They really do. They really do. Let's talk a little bit. We're going to shift a little bit to illegal immigration and immigration in general. I think the U.S. allows basically about 1 million people in illegally every year. We've got roughly around 10 million illegal aliens now. First, do you believe in amnesty? And second of all, what do we do about illegal immigration?
Well, first and most, I'm against a blanket amnesty.
Okay.
A blanket amnesty would just say, they're all legal, they're all citizens, welcome to America. And that means all the people who've worked hard to do all the things that you have to do to become a citizen, taking courses, passing exams, doing the right thing, all of their work is in vain. And so I'm against blanket amnesty.
Okay.
I do think we should shore up our borders, no doubt about that.
Okay.
And we have to enforce the laws where possible. But like you say, there's 10 million. They process, what, 200,000 or 300,000 a year? That means it'll take about 50 years to solve, to process all of them. You can't do that. What I would like to see is a little bit expansion of our work program.
Okay.
Give people more work permits. If they're here honestly, or not legally, but if they're here and they have a job, they're not committing crimes, felonies, or some real serious crimes, and they have a job and they're contributing, be a little bit more lenient on the work permits, and then allow them to stay here. And as long as they have a job, they can continue to stay here. If they do not have a job, if they quit it or lose the job, whatever, then they really are illegal aliens, and then they are subject to deportation.
Okay. All right. Very good. The next one's on spending in Washington, and whether it's been Republicans or Democrats, it seems like that people put bills together and they layer other bills on them and more spending, and they get pork barrel spending and the earmarks. Do you believe that it's an acceptable practice to just layer spending bills at top spending bills, or do you believe bills should be read on their own, or spending bills should be broken apart and be voted on separately? What's your thoughts on that?
No, I don't. I think each bill should be symmetrical, or they should be in common. In other words, for this health care bill, for example, you could tack a lot of things onto that, but everything well, everything in the health bill should be concerned with health care and nothing else. Not hunting or watercraft or whatever. Right. So I would be opposed to this, because that is how spending increases, though. People tack on their little thing, earmarks or whatever word you want to use. Now, each bill should be just about itself. It should be symmetrical, or whatever word you want to use. It should be only about healthcare. Should be only about healthcare, and then law enforcement should be only about that. People shouldn't tack on extra things.
Okay, all right. Will you read every bill in full before you vote on it?
I'll try. But the one bill is 2,100 pages long.
Should they be 2,100 pages?
No, they wouldn't. They shouldn't, in my opinion.
The Constitution can be put on 5 pages of regular paper.
Right.
And we have bills that are 1,800. How would you try to restrict or minimize the size of these bills and the complexity to try to simplify things?
First of all, I'm not a politician. I'm a private citizen, just like the people out there listening. So it's really hard for me to understand what they're doing, in fact. No, my health care bill would probably be a few pages long, decreasing the Medicare age and helping people who can't get on, and these other things we've talked about. It's a big problem. I don't know what the solution is. I would try to read every bill, or else find some experts. You have to get people to help you, first of all.
Well, on that many pages, you're right. The staff probably breaks it out.
Right, you have to have a lawyer, at least, or a gang of them, to help you with the legal problems. Fortunately, I'm a doctor, but other issues like maritime law or whatever, I would have to have experts to help me on that. But I would try to read or have someone help me every single bill, right?
Okay. Let's talk about the Second Amendment. What are your thoughts on the Second Amendment? How far does it extend? What do you support the Second Amendment?
This is a strong issue with me. I'm a gun owner, been one for 35 plus years, ever since I was in Vietnam. I own several weapons, and I'm a member of the NRA. Remember Illinois